Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you confirm that you can hear me? Just to be sure that everything is fine, just give me a sign of life. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3. Can you see me and hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. I'm always scared with these lives. I in the future lives I also want to include like some video and external footage for the lives, but I still have to manage how to do it. So for now we'll do the basic with the YouTube software. Hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to meet you this afternoon for me in Italy, this scorching afternoon for me in Italy. Here in Rome is 40 degrees and it's like 6:30. And this very annoying noise that you can hear, I don't know the name in English, but it's those insects on the trees that can sing the whole freaking day. They're not birds, they're insects, but I don't know the name in English. And so they enter inside the room. Thank you so much, Lucchese. You are one of my very first subscribers from day one. Thank you so much. And since the last live, the channel, yeah, in Italian is cicala, exactly. Yeah, because in Uruguay is winter, I think, right? Since the last live, the channel has grown immensely thanks to that. Sorry for the shaking of the camera. Since the first time, the channel has grown immensely because of that video that I published 2 weeks ago that went nearly viral, nearly 500,000 subscribers. And so probably there will be more people, and I'm very happy to share with you our Italian last names. I hope we'll be able to do everyone. I'll really do my best because at a certain point I need to feed my 2 kids. But I really hope to cover all the last names. First of all, just like a brief introduction on Italian last names. Italian last names are a lot. As I said in the video, Italy has one of the highest varieties of last names in the world compared to the amount of population and how big the country is. For example, Spain, that has a little bit less inhabitants, but the territory is even bigger. Spanish, despite being a Romance language, as well as way less last names than Italian for a variety of reasons. English, the same. So Italy has a lot of last names. And just to give you a perspective, I want to share with you in the chat. I don't know if I can upload something in the chat. I just wanted to show you the map of Italian last names that is connected to the many different dialects that we have in Italy. There are 3 major dialects, families of dialects in Italy. The northern dialects, which are closely linked to French and Spanish in terms of sounding, in terms of phonetics. So the sounding of northern dialects for me is immediately recognizable because the phonetics are very similar to French and Spanish. They're called Gallo-Italic languages. So Northern Italy has more similar phonetics to French and Spanish than the rest of the country. Then we have the central dialects, which is Tuscany, Rome region, Marche, Umbria, and basically stop. And standard Italian comes from central dialects because the Florentine dialect was and still is a dialect from central Italy. Okay, so standard Italian is closely connected to central dialects, and also last names are quite recognizable. Then there is southern Italy that has that is of course more similar in terms of dialect to central than northern dialects, but still has different rules. And southern dialects are divided between Sicilian dialects that don't cover exclusively Sicily, but also southern Puglia, Apulia, and southern Calabria, and Neapolitan dialects that don't cover only Naples, but the entire region of Campania, northern Calabria, northern Puglia, Molise, Basilicata, Abruzzo. So these are the three major families of dialects that tremendously influence the Italian last names, which again are a lot. I'll start with mine, which is very funny. And in Italy, we have a lot of funny last names that have actual meaning. And if you grew up with a let's say hilarious meaning like mine, coniglio, which literally means rabbit, especially in school, you're gonna have a hard time. For example, my last name is originally from the Sicilian dialect, is from northern Sicily, southern Calabria. My specific is the southern Calabrian branch, but there are many. And in Rome, there are many, because of internal migration in Italy, there are many families which have Coniglio last name. Now, let's start with yours, guys. Of course, some of these last names, I have to check them because I don't know and all the last names by heart. So let's start with the first, which is Ligia Muzio. This is interesting. Muzio come from mutus, which from Latin. So the great majority of Italian last names come from Latin, with several adaptations throughout the centuries. But Muzio come from mutus, so mute. So probably one of your ancestors had problems speaking correctly, and so they said he's mute, or at least he has problem speaking. I checked before that this last name is very common in central Italy, Umbria, Tuscany, Marche, these parts of Italy. Then we'll see that if you check the map of southern Italian last names, you'll see that they are more common in Milan than, for example, in Naples. Why? Because of migration. Because in the last 60 to 70 years, millions and millions of southern Italians emigrated to central and northern Italy. So these last names are now more common in northern Italy than in southern Italy, but of course the origin is from southern Italy. Then we have Marconi, which is a very, very widespread in Italy. This is originally from central northern Italy. There are many Marconi in Bologna, and of course it comes from the Latin first name Marcus, and then you have a unique characteristic of Italian last name that is also extremely common in the language. The suffix at the end, oni, ino, etti, acci, ozzi, these are all modifications of Latin adjective grades that have a meaning of increasing or diminishing the meaning and the value of a certain word. In this case, Marconi, oni means big. One, oni, ona, ono. When you hear ono in Italian, is also very common in adjectives, means big. So probably your ancestor was either very tall or he had some important ancestors. So it was oni because it was important. Then we have Eliia. This I have to check because this is, I think, is a Jewish name. So let's see how this came originally to Italy. Let me check. Then I'll share with you the many websites that I use. I think this is originally, it might be a Jewish last name. Let me check. In fact, it's from the biblical name Yahweh, Dio, God, and it's very common in Apulia and Campania region. So probably, even if you directly don't have Jewish heritage, which is possible, maybe one of your ancestors was Jewish, or it was given a Jewish name for whatever reason in the Middle Age. Most of Italian last names were originally given in the Middle Age, 10th, 11th, 12th century. I'm going fast because I have many people. And then I have Giannetti. This is quite easy. This is from basically Italian, the Italian modification of the Latin name Johannes, Giovanni, John, Juan, is all the same stuff, basically. Etti, it's basically, it's difficult for non-Italian speakers to understand this slightly difference in meaning. Oni is big, it is small in a cute way. Okay, so probably your ancestor was, for whatever reason, not very tall or not very big or not very powerful in terms of lineage or something. So it was etto. It was something cute, harmless. Okay. Again, these rules also apply to Italian adjectives. Okay, if I say, for example, a pezzetto di pizza instead of pezzo di pizza, so slice of pizza. If I say pezzo, is a normal slice. If I say pezzetto, it's like a small piece, like not in a not negative, but in slightly again, that you're harmless. Okay, un pezzetto. Okay. Okay, Ruoco. This is interesting. This for sure is okay. Probably you are from Boston. Okay, so probably in this, I want to make a video about this. What happens is that in Ellis Island, your last name was butchered because English speakers don't have double consonants. So when your ancestor said, I am Ruocco, which is a typical Campania / Apulia last name, normally, when I say that a last name is, for example, from Campania, it doesn't mean that it's exclusively from Campania. Of course, the major probabilities are from Campania, but of course, it's not a rule written in stone. So Ruocco was modified in Ruoco because of the difficulties of English speakers to pronounce double consonants, the gemination. So your original last name was probably Ruocco, and from the Latin last name Roccus, and this Ruo, this is typical of southern, of especially Napolitan dialects and their variations. Ruo. When you have this sound, normally these last names are from the Napolitan family. Aloe, this is funny because aloe in Italian is also like a plant that is used also for medications. Aloe, this I've never heard this. Never heard this. Let me check if there is something. Hmm. It's like an abbreviation. It doesn't have any connection with the plant. It seems to be an abbreviation of the Latin last name Aloysius. And it seems to be another last name from the south. So Calabria, Puglia, Campania, and there is a noble family known as Aloe in Cosenza in northern Calabria. Let me check if there is something more about the origin. This I've never heard of this last name in Italian. Yeah, it's definitely from. Yeah, there are. You can see the map. Then I'll show you the sites so that you can check yourself. This is one of those last names that is clustered in different parts of the country. For sure, it's from the south because I can see it in northern Calabria, Abruzzo, something in Apulia, but it's not homogeneous. There are clusters at several hundreds kilometers one another. So this is interesting. In the meantime, guys, again, if you can, I would thank you so much for leaving a very, very small donation to support the channel because I have it's difficult because I have the editing. Most of the videos, apart from the last one that was a great success, I really struggle to be up, not to, of course, not to earn, but also to be up with the expenses of the video. So if you just $2 for reading your last name, it would be much appreciated, and thank you so much. Now going forward to Cavalieri. Okay, this is another last name that is quite widespread in Italy. So this is and these there are very, very different, many different variations: Cavalieri, Cavaliere, Cavalleri, Cavallero. So another interesting thing about Italian last names, also last names are declined in singular, plural, masculine, and I don't know how to say it in English, female, I think. So Cavalieri, this is the masculine plural. So it means that there are many different hypotheses. Probably your family. Thank you so much. Probably your family originally worked with the horses, because cavallus in Latino was horse, and cavallo is in Italian. So probably your family somewhat worked with horses in some kind of job. Or, this is of course less likely, they were some aristocrats. Okay. And this is, I checked this Cavalieri before. This is probably you are from northern Italy. This is northwest Italy. The highest percentage is originally from Lombardy, Piedmont, Liguria, and is also, of course, diffused in southern France. But this is another story because parts of southern France were within northern Italy back in the day. But this is another story. Okay, then we have Albino. This before checking, I think I know. This is probably from the original Roman Latin adjective albinus, which means white. So probably your ancestors were white, for particularly white. And actually, the interesting thing is that now in Italian we don't use anymore the adjective that the Latins used to refer to white, which was albinus, from which we took the word alba, which is dawn. But we use actually in Italian a Germanic word to refer to white, which is bianco, whose root is the same of the Germanic and English blank that you guys use it as empty, but the original word was alba, and albinus meant a very white person, for example. Okay, let me check the where is most likely to be encountered this albino. Albino, yeah, South Campania and Molise, so central southern Italy, and there is also a cluster in western Sicily. Okay, let's go on. Alto mare. Okay, this is one of those funny. Thank you so much. This is one of those funny last names that have a precise meaning even today in today's Italian. Another thing you have to know is that Italian is for a variety of reasons that we cannot discuss now, Italian is an extremely conservative language. So the Italian thank you so much. The Italian spoken when the last names were created in the 20th, 13th century is still very similar to today's Italian. It's something completely different to English. Native speakers of English can nearly not understand a word of Geoffrey Chaucer's English, or I don't know, the Old English from the High Middle Age, the very Germanic Old English. Italian is very different, it's very conservative. So alto mare literally means high sea. So this was probably related to some job in the fishery industry, probably. So it's probably a last name that comes from a southern seaside town. Let me check. This is interesting. One second, that the site got yeah. There are actually, it's interesting because there are two different possibilities to this last name Alto Mare, which literally in Italian, as I said, means high sea, but there are also other clusters in southern Italy, which probably where the meaning is very different. It comes from the Germanic name Aldemarus, which basically in Old Germanic meant noble people. Okay, so there are there are many Italian last names that the meaning is not super clear. Let me update this. 1 second, guys, that I wanna, because the page got stuck. 1 second. Stay here that I'm working for you guys. The site got stuck and I have to re-register. I'm so sorry. Yeah, in fact, probably you Alto Mare are for sure from southern Italy, could be northern Puglia, Campania, Calabria. If the case is that you are originally from some Germanic families, this would be another lesson, and I don't have time, but now in southern Italy there are a lot of last names of Germanic origin, because how can I say in English, the Northmen, the Vikings, several times migrated to Italy. So in southern Italy, there are a lot of last names of North Germanic origin. For example, one of in my father's family, there is Lombardo, which is a typical southern Italian last name of Germanic origin, because Lombardo literally means Lungbard, long beard, and these were Germanic tribes that migrated to southern Italy during the Middle Ages. There would be a lot of things to say, but now I don't have time. Mariano, this is pretty straightforward, from Mary, Jesus' mother. This is very, very common in Italy, extremely common all across the Italian peninsula. Let me check where I can locate it more specifically. Yeah, this is Mariano is everywhere, but the bigger cluster is in northern Puglia, Foggia region. Originally, of course, Marius was the one of the most famous Latin last names that is still quite popular in older generation in Italy. In older generation, now no one is called Mario in among young people, but back in the day, my grandmother generation was very typical. So Marius, Latin, typical Latin name. But as I said, here we have a double possibility. It could be also related to be devoted to worship. Basically, your family back in the day worshipped a lot the Virgin Mary, so they were called Mariani or Mariano. This is the higher possibility. Then we have Badolato. I knew a guy that was called Badolato. This is for sure from the south, but this I have to check because I have at the moment I can't say where this was from. I know there is also a Badolati, the guy I know, which means it's plural, but let's see the origin. Badolato. Okay. Okay. This is another interesting, very, very interesting example. Many Italian last names are toponymous, so they specifically derive from a village in Italy, and Badolato is a small town in northern Calabria, in central Calabria, Catanzaro. So probably your family is originally from this village. And if the variant is Badolati, means that there was a cluster of people. Okay, Ciulla. I know a university professor that is called Ciulla. This is another one I had to check because I can't guess. Ciulla. Let's see where. Sounds very southern to me. Yeah, it's super Sicilian. This sound. Yeah, Ciulla is a last name widespread all across Sicily. Okay. This is interesting. So this is a Sicilian dialect where the original meaning was Ciullu. Normally the intervocalic U sound U is very typical in Sicilian dialect, like stupidu, for example. Ciullu meant ignorant or stupid. I'm sorry. I also have a last name that is not particularly, I don't know, is not particularly, I'm not particularly proud because probably Coniglio was either I was like a farmer of rabbits or my ancestors were very scared. But also basically Ciulla or Ciulli means basically stupid, let's say, or ignorant in Sicilian. So far, I have seen most central and southern Italian last names because I can see that most of you are Italian Americans. And as I said numerous times, Italian Americans, 95% of the times, are from southern Italy. Here you many. I don't know if I can do Silky. I don't know if I can do all of them. I want to do De Giovanni because this is a typical of this is extremely common in the regions between the central parts of Italy, the regions between Tuscany and northern Campania. Di Luca, di Giovanni, di Francesco, di Antonio, di or de was the same. Basically, it's like saying Johnson, Robinson, Patterson. So it was a patronymic. So son of Giovanni, and for example, my mother's maiden name is Di Luca, which is De Luca, which when this part of my family went to New Jersey was butchered in Di Luca, and Di Luca are either from Abruzzo, so my case, or Campania. But in Italy there are many last names with D or De. Basically, every first name has his variation in last name, especially traditional name, Di Luca, Di Giovanni, Di Francesco, Di Antonio, Di whatever, okay? All these Silky, all these other last names, they sound very Southern Italian to me. Arata, I'm curious. This is for sure Southern Italian. I just want to check. Yeah, it comes from. Instead, I was. You know what? I was wrong. This arata means I don't know how to say this verb in English. The when you dig the land before putting crops, before cultivating, and it's from the northwest of Italy, Piedmont, Liguria. So your relatives, your ancestors were farmers who digged the field. So a typical activity of farmers in order to make the soil more fertile, and is from northwestern Italy. I wanna okay. Neri is interesting. This is also very widespread in Italy. Neri, nero in Italian means black. So there is neri is the most common version because it's plural, so means like blacks, if we could say like this in English. And these color last names are among the most widespread in Italy. Rossi, which means red hair, is by far the most common widespread in Italy, but also Neri is incredibly widespread. And these are among those few Italian last names that have multiple origins in very different parts of Italy, because the colors were basically more or less pronounced in the same way. In fact, if I write Neri in my virtual map of last names, yeah, it's incredibly common everywhere. A little bit more in northern Italy than south, but it's very common everywhere. And then Lorenzon. So probably, Gabriel, you are Brazilian, because Lorenzon is the quintessential Venetian last name. Sorry that I have to drink. In Veneto, most of the last names end with on, in, an. because basically is the same. Now I'll write it in the chat. Is the same rule of saying one, ino, etto, but the last oetta, but the last vowel dies, because it's a typical feature of the Venetian dialect. So you have many Venetian last names that are like Fantin, Lorenzin, Lorenzon, Franceschin. Is a very typical, unique feature of the Venetian dialects. Is not common in other parts of Italy, not even in other parts of northern Italy. The meaning is very simple. I don't even have to check the map because I know that Lorenzon is from Veneto. The most common, the meaning is basically big Lawrence. Okay, so Lorenzo is from the Latin last name Laurentius, which means basically covered in gold, basically. And on means one, so big, so somewhat big. Roccaforte, this is interesting. The Rocca is basically the Roccaforte basically in Italian means stronghold. So normally these last names are either from aristocratic people who actually owned a freaking castle or people who worked for them. Roccaforte, this is interesting. Roccaforte literally means stronghold, and it's a word that we use even today in Italian. Yeah. Because this term is very widespread in Italian, your last name is mostly from Calabria, where there are a lot of stronghold-like shaped villages, but it could be also from, for example, Piedmont or other strongholds in Italy. I don't know what is your case, but in fact, if I type Roccaforte, yeah, it has multiple clusters: Sicily, Calabria, Piedmont. Okay. Where are we? I lost. Oh my god, there are so many that I don't know. Guys, there are too many. We have to do a second live. So don't give me money unless I explain your last name. Oh my god, there are so many. I lost. We were at Alto Mare. I did it. Oh my god, I can't do all of them. Let's see something into. Okay. Cellucci and Fiore. Okay, Fiore literally means flower. This is also from southern Italy. Cellucci, the uccio suffix is another Italian way of saying tiny, but in a more, let's say, loving way. So, Celluccio, this could be let me check. I was saying that these Ucci last names are typical from Tuscany, Umbria, normally central Italy. Celluccio or Cellucci. Check. Okay. I didn't know this name. Cello was a first name, and Ucci, Cellucci means the sons and not the sons, because Ucci is plural, male, masculine. The basically means sons of this guy Cello. Ucci because they're smaller, they're younger. Okay. Okay. Yeah, in China there are like 10 last names. One of the biggest countries in the world. The variety of last names is much lower. Savino, this is for sure from the south. This is very widespread in Italy. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. If I jumped someone and I didn't notice, I will do another live. Don't worry. Savino comes from the okay. In fact, This I remember something. Savino, it's the let's say modification of the uh, pre-Roman, pre-Latin name Sabinus from the historical region of Sabina in the let's say 20 to 50 kilometers northeast of Italy, of Rome. The Romans fought with these old Italic people. They defeated, they conquered them, and so many, and so they adopted these names. So if your name is Savino, which basically is Sabino, there is this vocal modification in Italian from V to B. It basically means that you are from Umbria, Eastern Lazio, these kind of things. Then we have Chula, I said it. Giuffrida. This is normally a Sicilian last name, I remember very well. I know many Giuffrida in Rome. I think it's from before checking, if my memory is good, I think Giuffrida is from Gottfried is something Germanic that I think. I'm quite sure. Let's see if I'm correct. Yeah, from the Germanic Goffredus, basically means God of peace. And in fact, okay, this I remember very well. You are 100% of Sicilian origin, because when the Normans, so the Vikings, went to Sicily, they imported their names. And so all the names with the fr, Gottfried, Giuffried, whatever, these are Northern Germanics. So Giuffrida is a typical Sicilian name from Northern European origin, like the one of my family branches, Lombardo. Let me go on. Peluso. This is super Southern Italian. Should be, if I'm not mistaken, before checking, this should be hairy, because pelus in Italian is hair. Let me see if I'm correct. Do you understand the insane variety of Italian last names? Let me see. Yeah, exactly. Was allora. So for sure, it's from southern Italy, Campania, Puglia, Sicilia. But dear Peluso subscriber, this means that your ancestors from Naples, from Puglia, from Sicily were very hairy people like me. Okay, thank you so much for the thank you so much for the donations. I'm not thanking every day, otherwise I lose time, and instead I wanna comment over most of your last names. So the whiskey, your ancestors were very hairy like me. Look at this. Marino, Maria basically is the cute tiny version of Mariano, Marino, small. That could also be from marine, so a guy from the sea. This is also typical Southern Italian. Okay, Roberto, this is quite easy. This is another example, as I said before, of a typical Southern Italian last name from Germanic origin. When you here last names and names Erto, Erta, these are all Germanic. Rob is the original root of this word is Hubert, something like this. Is a Germanic name. The origin was like Germanic people. They always their names were always something like the courageous lion, the wild beast, because war was all they knew. So normally these last names are, and also Roberto is a typical Italian first name, but the origin is not Latin, is Germanic. And again, because of the Viking invasion of southern Italy, there are many Germanic last names in southern Italy. Roberto, I think is something bold, something courageous. Hungry for glory, a typical Germanic thing. And I don't even have to check, you're from southern Italy 100%. Cecere, these also sound very southern Italia. Questo c is probably Sicilian. Let me check. Cecere could also be butchered. This they're not sure. This is not very common. It might be a toponymous of a small village in the Salerno province, south of Naples. But basically, ceci is chickpeas, if I pronounce it correctly. But this is, they're not certain, and me neither. This okay, Accardi I know, because I know Sicily very well. This is super Sicilian. But again, another example, Accardi. When you hear Hardy, it's like Leonard. This Edward. This is all Germanic stuff, 100%. I wanna this. I don't have to check them up because Accardi is Sicilian 100%. But Accardi, I want to check the meaning in old Germanic of this Accardi. Hackhart. Okay, it's always the same shit. Accardi, a guy capable of inflicting hard wounds to the enemy, basically. Hard. Ardo basically means hard, like the same meaning of hard in English, or heart, like Leonard, so lion heart. These are the two meanings. Surace, super Sicilian, 100%. Another Aci, super Sicilian, or Southern Calabria, because the dialect is the same, like my Coniglio. Gervasoni, this is interesting. This is from the north. Oni, like the famous Italian prime minister from Milan, Silvio Berlusconi. These Gervasoni, Stramaccioni, these Oni are normally from northern Italy. Let me check real quick, but I'm quite sure. Gervasoni, Gervasoni is a super Bergamo, Milan, Lombardy in general last name. I imagine it was like that. It's from the Latin last name, first name Gervasio, which means a very strong guy. Okay, very powerful guy. Alimo also, I think, is Sicilian. Let me check Alimo real quick. Alimo, I think, is Sicilian. No, it is Sicilian. Is typical of Sicily, But another example, this is you guys, English speaker, you have this word. Alimo basically comes from the Germanic word Heim, which in English is home. So basically, the guy from home, and is typical from Sicily. Okay. So we have a lot of Sicilian last names, including mine, of kind of Germanic origin. There are so many. Yeah, Cavalieri, you also have in your avatar is the Lombardy flag, Northern Italian Lombardy flag. You say that your haplogroup is R1, so probably you want to emphasize that you are from Northern Italy. Mignone. These also sound kind of Southern Italian to me. Mignone. No, it's Central Italy. It's actually between Rome and the north of Rome, which means very cute, very small. Interesting. This I didn't know. Yeah, it's from Central Italy. Let's see something. They're all interesting. Okay. Ritzi. This I can tell you. Ritzi is the Sicilian version of Ricci or Riccio, which is extremely. So basically, in Italy, this kind of last name is spread all across Italy, but in Central Italy is Riccio or Ricci, which means curly hair, while because of the consonant shift that happens in Sicilian, this is Rizzo or Rizzi, which means still curly hair. So you are probably Sicilian. Brando is another very, very Germanic Italian last name. Something, still something like courageous, like a horse or something like this. So let me check. Brandi or Brando. This is super Germanic. From the Germanic name Brando, which means sword of fire. So probably your ancestors were blacksmiths, were some kind of blacksmiths, and this is a very common last name in Italy. Could be literally everywhere. Let me check the biggest clusters. Brandi. Yeah, there are many different clusters between Liguria, Florence, Abruzzo, Naples, Basilicata. Could be many things. Okay, guys, I it's impossible that I can do all the last names. It's literally impossible. So we have to do another episode. Let me check something very peculiar. Bellina. So Bellus in Italian is beautiful, good looking. Non in Italian. In Latin is Bellus. In Italian is bello. But in your case is Bellina. So it's female because A is the female suffix in Italian, and Bellina, so is your ancestor was not super beautiful, but she was nice, cute, moderately beautiful. Bauer, this is not Italian, this is Germanic. You could be from the far north, Trentino Alto Adige, but this is not an Italian last name. Mirabelli, this should be that you mirare. There is a very similar verb in Spanish, mirar, which I think means to see, to look at. So that probably meant that you look good things or that you were good looking. Let me check. This is also quite common in Italy. This is like two words put together. Yeah, mirus bellus. See, yeah, beautiful to look at. Exactly. Yeah, this is mostly from Calabria. Mostly from Calabria region. In fact, I know many Calabrians whose last name is Mirabelli. Santora, Santoro. This is Santoro, Santori, Santora. This is typical from Campania. Very, very common last name in Italy. Also in northern Italy because of migration from southern Italy. There are many variations. Santora, Santoro. This is one of the most common last names in Italy. Yeah, means yeah, from saints. Sorry for the pronunciation. Related to some saint. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Morassutti, this I know, yeah, exactly. And Morassut is from Friuli, which is the region in the far northeast of Italy, bordering Slovenia and Croatia, and basically still a Venetian dialect. This is a typical. So, yeah, you are one of the Toronto Italians who are not Calabrians, but. Can you hear me? I lost the contact. I lost connection. Can you guys tell me that you can hear me? Yeah, okay, thank you. I lost. Okay, my God, there are so many, and unfortunately, guys, I lost part of the chat, of the chat history. I'm so sorry because of this. Disconnection. I lost part of the chat history. I'm so sorry. There are so many. Are there some Sardinian that they're very peculiar only from Sardinia? Yeah, okay, perfect. And thank you for the donation. Yeah, bravo. Okay, Sardinian is a group of dialects that are their own group. They're not related to. They're different from continental Italy dialects. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them end with a U. So the typical vowel in the final parts of the word in Sardinia is U, and they are not in this case of brow, but they have a lot of double consonants, a lot of gemination. Let me see this specific one, brow. This specific one, brow. If you have an Italian last name that ends in U, is 90%, not always, but 80% Sardinian. Yeah, exactly. It's this I didn't know. Basically, it can be from many origin. It can mean basically sky blue. It can mean courageous. It can mean, yeah. This is not your case, but Brau is also the beer in southern Germanic dialects. And of course, if I type Brau on the map, Sardinia will pop up. Of course, of course. Of course. See, there are so many guys. Antolini is from Emilia Romagna region. Is a small Anthony, a small Antonius Anthony. So would my Cardi family name explain German? It could be German. Yes, yeah, it could be. Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Padulo. This is also something. Let me check this Padulo. This southern Italian Campania region, something. Yeah, in fact, it's from because there is a friend of mine that is originally from this village. Padula is a village in Campania. Yeah. I am so sorry if I skipped someone. Will do it again because unfortunately I have to. In Italy now is dinner time. I have to feed my kids, but promise we'll do another um, episode. Galofaro is wrong. I don't know if probably they butchered it in Ellis Island because the original is Garofalo, which is a flower, and this is quite common all across Italy. Fiorillo is a small flower, and illo, the suffix illo is typical from Campania, from the Naples region. Illo. In fact, yeah, you told me Caserta, of course, which is north of Naples. When you hear an Italian last name ending in illo, is 90% from Campania. And actually, illo is the Italian pronunciation of these last names. But my wife is half Napolitan, half Norwegian, an incredible mix. And so I go to Naples often. They have a vowel that doesn't exist in Standard Italian, which is similar to the English schwa. So they pronounce these last names as Fioril, not Fiorillo, as I say in Standard Italian. Tony, I think this is from the north. This is an abbreviation of Antonius, Anthony, something like this. Yeah, exactly. Is a let's say abbreviation of Antonius, of course. Yeah, it's from can be central northern Italy. Prestigiacomo. This is super Sicilian. I know many Prestigiacomo. Giacomo is the Italian version of James. Let me this Presti. I'm not sure. This is this is a very famous last name in Sicily, Prestigiacomo. Let me check. Yeah. This I didn't think about. Presti means priest. It was an ancient way to say priest, because in Standard Italian now is prete. So basically, one of your ancestors or in your family, they were priests. Priests were not supposed to have kids, but especially in the Middle Age, they had a lot. So son of the priest James. Okay, Aquilino. Normally, like me, you had a big Italian nose. That's it. A big eagle-shaped nose. He said it's Aquilino, naso Aquilino. It's like a very, like me, Italian-shaped nose, a big Italian nose with a big bump here. Aquilino, like Dante, the father of the Italian language. Scogozza, this is very Napolitan. very, very Napoleon. Scogozzo. Let me check. Yeah, exactly. From Campania. Yeah. They're not sure of the etymology of this name. Is extremely widespread in Campania and in New Jersey because many families emigrated to New Jersey, but they're not sure of this origin. Guglielmi, this is Germanic. Guglielmi is very, very is very, very widespread in Italy. Is from Wilhelm. It's a Germanic Italian last name. Tozzi. Tozzi, this is very Tuscan. Tozzo means like I knew the adjective in English. When you're tozzo, you're like big, but in a bulky way, in like a bodybuilder. You cannot move well. I think it's Central Italian. Tozzi, of course, plural. Otherwise, would be tozzo. Or yeah. Tozzo means big and short. There are many different. This could be from many different clusters in Italy: Tuscany, Emilia-Romagna, Lazio, Campania. Basically, this meant that your ancestors were big and quite fat. Okay, I'm sorry. Ah, Nicolò, ma questo I know this guy. He is one of my students. I know that you're Napolitan. Zaccagnino, this should be from Abruzzo. I have a friend of mine who has a very similar last name, Zaccagnino, Zaccagnini. Yeah, it should be that your relatives stabbed people in the back, actually, because Zaccagnare, yeah. There are two, all the Zaccagno-like last names. Zaccagnino, small, Ino, small, Zaccagnone, big. But these were people who basically they were like, I'm sorry, Nelson. I'm sorry. Also, my last name doesn't have a great meaning. These were like a small level, like criminals who try to steal things. They can maybe use their small knife for their crimes. So it's not a particularly noble last name, but again, I cannot talk. Dario, this is like Di Luca, Di Antonio, Di Giovanni. This I think is from Puglia. Is Di Adderio, which is a ancient first name that is not used anymore in Italian, apart from last names. Falcone, big hawk. Quite widespread in Italy, but more in southern Italy, Sicily. Falco is the hawk. Falcone is a big hawk. Yeah, Eric, that's funny. Minchella. Let me check this Minchella because it's similar to an Italian bad word that I want to talk about in a video. Minchella. They're not sure. Mostly from Veneto in the north, but I'm not sure. Sorry, I have a cold in August. What can I say? My health has always been very poor, so enjoy my presence here on the channel because you don't know how long will it last. It will last. Todaro is Sicilian. Todaro, I know, is Sicilian. Also, this last name is very, very famous in Italy because you know that on the channel I also talk a lot about the Italian Navy ships. Todaro was a great hero. He was a submarine commander in World War II. Gold medal. There is also a beautiful movie about it. Gold medal for valor in World War II. He was born in the north, but his family was originally from Sicily. Serra is very, very widespread in Italy. You can find it one of the few last names that you can find all across Italy. Exactly. La Serra is like La Sierra in Spanish, is the mountain chain. Okay, it's very similar in also, but I have to in Spanish. Sierra is still a very important word, but Serra in Italian, we lost the use of this word. Legge. These ones with these accents like this are normally from the north. In fact, Montalto Pavese could be an abbreviation of leggero, light. Let me check. Yeah, exactly. Legge is a abbreviation of leggero, light. Simonetta, this is quite straightforward. It's from the Simon, Simone in Italian, and etta again, small, tiny. It's also Simonetta is the female version of today's name Simone. Simone, Simona, or Simonetta is still more for old people, but still present in Italy. Paglia, the paglia, this is also very common. The paglia is, I don't know the term in English. Let me check. How do you guys say paglia in English? Hay. Let me see the hay. So the thing that you give to cows and that you give to cows and horses, for example. Cicco. Let me Cicco. This is a first name. Cicco. Let's see, Cicco. Yeah, of course. In fact, Cicco is a variation of Cecco, which is a variation of Francesco, Francis. This Cicco variation is typical of southern Italy, Campania, northern Calabria, Puglia. So the Neapolitan part of southern Italy. When I say Neapolitan part of southern Italy, I'm not talking only about Naples, but as I said, I'm talking about the entire Campania, northern Calabria, northern Puglia, Abruzzo, Basilicata. Sorry, another disconnection. I don't know why, but I have to close in 5 minutes because I need to feed my kids. Again, I promise I'll do another one because I skipped a lot. I'm so sorry. Let me see something interested. Modugno, also very famous Italian singer in the US. This is from Puglia because Modugno is a village in Puglia. Angelilli, small angels. A group of small angels. Angelilli, small. Pagliai, people who work with hey, sorry for the pronunciation. Sorry guys, I can hear my my daughter screaming, so in 2 minutes I have to leave. Cagnin, very easy. From Veneto. In, cagna, canus, dog, related to maybe either your relatives were seen as dogs in a negative way, or they somewhat work with dogs. Yes, strofieno. Guys, I'm so sorry that I have to leave. I promise you that I will do another episode in the following weeks. This was great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Yeah, my wife is screaming at me. Thank you so much. And thank you also so much for the donations. Yeah, Eduardo, Terra del Lavoro, you guys are from I will talk about you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donations. See you. And next Friday, there will be another video. I still don't know whether it's gonna be about the Italian diaspora or about ships, because I am negotiating with a sponsor. There are many things, so for sure there will be a video on Friday. I still don't know which video, but I have still 3 to 4 video ready to shoot about the Italian diaspora, so don't worry. Ciao ragazzi, viva l'Italia sempre.